Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up our player so that the player animates. So in this screen right here where we see this 1 here, I'm going to click this X button and temporarily take that away. On this screen, this is where we set up our art. Where we see our events, that's where we set up our programming. So I'm going to left click on events. When we click here, we see there are no events here. Events are composed of conditions and actions. Add your first event using the first buttons of the toolbar. So what we want to do is click right here. And this is an event. An event is composed of generally composed of a condition as well as an action. A condition says when something happens to do something. The action says what to do. So this is basically conditions deal with when, and this deals with what to do. So what we want to do is to program the animations for our player. So we're going to click Add Condition. And what we're going to go do is go down to top-down movement. We're going to left-click, and then we see this that says is moving. We're going to left-click there. We're going to click on our player. I'm just left-clicking just to get out of that selection option. Now I'm going to click OK. Okay, so this says when the player is moving, we want something to happen. So this right here is a condition. We can have something called subconditions. So to get a subcondition, if I click here, this is how we get a sub-event, I should say. This is how we get a sub-event, right? See when I clicked here how this is not highlighted for us to select it. So what we need to do is click so that we have this blue line selected. So basically when I click around this area, towards the bottom of these 2 rows, we have the ability to add a sub-event. And that's what we want to do. So we're going to left-click on Add a Sub-Event. So what we want to happen is we're going to go to Add a Condition. So this is a sub-condition. So whatever we add here is dependent on this. The reason why we're adding a sub-event to this is we want to only be able to have to be concerned about telling Gdevelop to do something when our player is moving once. And then we can add these sub-events underneath here, and they'll know that they're dependent on this. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to Add Condition, and we're going to go to Keyboard. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to go to Key Pressed. Now here we can go through all of these different keys that we can select here by scrolling down. I want the left key select. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Shift and select capital L. I let go of Shift. Now I'm just typing out EFT. So now Gdevelop has this option here saying, oh, do you want something to work with the left arrow key? I'm like, yes, that's what I want. So I'm going to left click there. And then I'm just clicking here to get out of that, the option to select that. Then I'm going to click OK. So we have this when the player is moving, and then we have left click key is pressed. So this is dependent on that, and that's what we want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to add an action. So this is when these things are happening, when the player is moving and when the left key is pressed, Gdevelop's like, what do you want me to do? That's what we're going to do by adding this action. So now we're going to click on add action. We're going to go to sprite, animations and images. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to change the animation by name. We're going to select player because that's the animation we want to work with. And because this is something that we named ourselves, we chose the name. And what we chose the name was walk. Because we chose the name, the reason why I'm saying that is we need to put quotations around this. So we're going to hold Shift, put quotation, W-A-L-K, hold Shift, and then I'm putting another quotation. So then I'm going to click OK. Okay, what we have set up as far as our animation is our character is actually a top-down movement. If our character was set for isometric, we would have to do more work than what we have to do here. However, because our character is straight top-down, we only had to set that one walking animation, and the way we're going to set things up, that's all we're going to need. However, we do need to have that animation activate for all of our arrow keys. So that's what we're going to set up here now. So to do that, what we're going to do is we already have this set up. When I say this, I mean our left key is pressed and then our set animation player to walk. One of the nice things in Gdevelop is you can save a lot of time by copying and pasting things. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our main event here. And then with this clicked on, we're going to go to our add a sub event button. We're going to click this 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. And that just gave us the additional sub events that we need to set up for the rest of our arrow key. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click here. And then we're going to right click, select copy. Then we're going to left click here. We're going to right click and select paste. And then we're going to do that again, paste. And then we're going to do that again, paste. Okay, so now what we have is, okay, we have this, these all say left key. However, this set animation player is already set to walk. So what we can do is we can either double click here. This will take us back into setting up left key is pressed, or we can just left click here and then enter in capital RIHT for right. So now our right key is pressed. So now when you press left or right, the walk animation will activate. So we're going to go here and we're going to change this to up, capital UP. And while you didn't see up pop up here, that should be correct. When you're putting in your arrow keys, you mainly you need a capital to have your arrow key work. So we're going to click here. We're going to enter in capital D. We can see down here. So now we are set up to have our player walk, show its animation, its walk animation as the player walks. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to left click and we're going to get rid of these extra things. So I'm left clicking, then right clicking, selecting delete, left clicking, right clicking, selecting delete. See this arrow over here to the left? When I click this, all of these are going to still be there. However, they're going to be hidden so that they're not taking up space because this work is done. So I'm about to click it. I didn't click it yet. Now I just clicked it. So we can click this again and bring those back, but we don't need to have to see those options for now. That work is done. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click here. So we have this blue line going here. We're going to go to add a new empty event. We're going to go to add condition. We're going to go down to top down movement. We're going to go to is moving. We're going to select player because player is what we're still working with our animation. Previously we set up for when our character is moving. So now we're in is moving again. However, this time we're going to select invert condition. And what this invert condition basically does is it means the invert of is moving is when the player is not moving. That's what we're setting up now. So we're going to click OK. Okay, so when we're setting up for our player is moving, we have to set up for a bunch of different buttons. For our player is not moving, where we're setting it up now, we don't have a lot of different buttons, so we can set this up easily. So we don't need to make sub-events. So we're going to go to add action. We're going to go to sprite, animations and images. And then we're going to go to change the animation by name. We're going to select player. And then the name of the animation that we want is idle. So we're going to, because we picked the name, we're going to hold shift, put in a quotation, type in IDLE, put in another quotation. That's what I meant when I said shift. I was just talking about putting a quotation in. You don't have to hold shift. It was just putting a quotation in. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, so with that set up, we're going to click